There were two reasons that we did the customer comments research at Cotton Incorporated. The first one was because there was a historical run in cotton prices that caused concern among the supply chain. Secondly, for the first time in 20 years, apparel prices increased, causing another concern among the supply chain on what they could do to cut cost. Ways in which the supply chain looked at cutting costs or thinning of fabrics, looking at changes in pockets and buttons, and substituting other fibers for cotton. We started the customer comments research to better understand what were consumers' reactions to these changes. To conduct this research, we looked at 260,000 customer comments in apparel and home textile items across 26 different retailers and 2,600 brands. When you buy apparel items, you expect them to fit the same way after laundering and not to shrink. 82% of consumers have experienced a problem with shrinkage, and we know that more than half tend to blame cotton for the shrinkage issue. However, it's not just a cotton problem.
Shrinking is not really a fiber-specific issue. It is about proper processing at the textile mill. Shrinking, again, can be avoided by proper laundering practices. You can wash in smaller loads, you can wash in colder water, but most importantly, it's what you're doing in the dryer. Removing those items before they are completely dry can minimize shrinkage. You can always look for pre-shrunk cotton that does minimize shrinkage in items that have a tendency to shrink more, such as t-shirts.
There are two types of wrinkling. The first type is called wet wrinkling, and it occurs during the laundry process and when it comes out of the washing machine wrinkled. The second type of wrinkling is called dry wrinkling, and that can occur during the day or in the evening when you're wearing your garments and they become wrinkled on you. 92% of consumers have experienced a problem with wrinkling, and 64% are bothered by this issue.
Wrinkling is actually a factor of moisture, heat, and pressure. You can get wrinkle-resistant cotton fabrics that minimizes wrinkling because the treatment actually locks down the hydrogen bonds and keeps that fabric smoother. To alleviate wrinkling in laundering, one of the things that you again want to do is to avoid overloading the washer. You have to have movement of the clothes in the washing system, otherwise they become grossly entangled, and that can begin to trap in wrinkles. When you dry your clothes, pull them out of the dryer before they're completely dry. Hang them up, smooth them out with your hands, and then that pressure from your hands, the heat from your hands, and the moisture in the fabric helps to lock the fabric into a smoother state.
Consumers do like to have items that stretch. However, it's if they do not recover that when it becomes an issue. For example, your favorite pair of skinny jeans, if they become baggy and do not recover while you're wearing them, that's a problem. 79% of consumers have experienced an issue with stretch in jeans or other apparel items and not recovering. And we know that they are twice as unlikely to purchase the same material again in a garment.
Believe it or not, clothing can lose its form if it actually contains too much stretch fiber or spandex. You want to have high cotton content products with less stretch in it. Good examples to look for is in denim jeans, a typical stretch level should be 1 to 2%. In woven fabrics, 2% to 3% may be typical. In knit shirts, you may see higher stretch capabilities, up to 5%. But by making sure that your fiber content is mostly cotton, you can avoid shape retention issues.
Wear and tear is an issue for consumers because some of the changes that were made by the supply chain, the thinness of the fabric, the changes that would cause holes to come through the apparel item. And we know from our research that consumers are 3 times less likely to purchase a garment made from material that's not durable.
Durability really is an issue of manufacturing and processing. 100% cotton fabrics increases your chance of better durability, reduces wear and tear because there's fewer processing steps compared to a blended fabric where more processing is required and there's a greater risk for quality issues.
Static cling can occur when you put a sweater on and your hair stands up, or if you can find a sock stuck to a pair of pants. We know that 57% of consumers have experienced static cling and wish it would go away.
Static cling is caused by rubbing different fabrics together. The electrons on those surfaces rub together under frictional force and create a static charge. 100% cotton fabrics do not retain static charges, therefore they do not build up charges in the dryer or when you wear them.
Pilling is the pesky little balls that you see from abrasion on fabric. Consumers refer to these as fuzz balls. We know from Cotton Incorporated's Lifestyle Monitor research that 79%, almost 8 out of 10 consumers are bothered by pilling, and we know that 1 in 4 tend to blame cotton for the pilling, although it's not necessarily a cotton issue.
Pilling is actually caused when you blend two different fibers of different mechanical strengths together. By having 100% cotton, you avoid pilling issues because it's not a blend of two different fibers with different mechanical strengths. One of the things that you can do in laundry to help with pilling and surface issues is to use a high-performance detergent. Detergents that contain cellulase enzymes actually work to keep the surface smooth of the fabric longer. Also, be sure to turn your clothes inside out. When you turn your clothes inside out, all the mechanical action that is occurring happens to the inside of the garment.
Many consumers have experienced fading, your reds turning to pinks or your dark blues turning to light blues. 90% of consumers have experienced an issue with fading, and that 71% are bothered by it. 1/3 of consumers tend to blame cotton for fading. However, we know that it's not just a cotton issue.
Fading can be a factor of the dye chemistries that are used to process the fabric. There is a wide variety of things that you can do to avoid fading in laundry. Always follow the care label recommendations. In some cases, it's better to wash in cold, and in some dye classes, it's better to wash those fabrics in warm. Be careful of the detergents that you are selecting. Make sure the detergents indicate that they are safe for color fabrics, and you may want to avoid such chemistries as sodium carbonate. Also, you want to avoid over-drying the products. Repeated over-drying of products will lead to deterioration of those dye chemistries over time.
When we buy apparel items, comfort is paramount. It should not be itchy, it should breathe, there should be temperature control, and ideally, the garment should be soft. In fact, 76% of consumers say they will not sacrifice comfort for fashion.
There actually are a lot of factors at play in describing the comfort of clothing. It all depends on the garment that you're wearing, how it fits, and what activity you're doing. That determines whether or not it's comfortable. 100% cotton fiber is naturally comfortable. The actual shape of the fiber, the tapered end of it, how fine it is, makes it feel extremely soft against the skin. Always check your labels, look for 100% cotton, follow the care label recommendations, and for more information, go to cottonornothing.com.